So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Terry from what he has as his biography, and then I want to share a little bit about Terry, the Terry that I know. Terry was born in Arizona, raised in Phoenix in an alcoholic, violent family. And if you've been to Phoenix, anyway, and as a result of this, he began drinking at about 7 to 8 years old, and he quit when he was 45. And then he moved to California 35 years ago, and he has now 31 years of sobriety. Amen. Yeah, that's great stuff. He's been married to Peggy for 42 years. The first 11 years he was still drinking, and he's been working in counseling arena for 27 years. Previous to going into private practice, he provided training and services to the Orange County Probation Department and state parole for 14 years, often with high-risk offenders in the areas of drug, alcohol, and domestic violence. Many of the people that came through the programs were blended families, which usually included grandparents, many times being the primary caregivers. The main focus of his work in private practice is in belief systems and behaviors as a result of our choices. And our identity, who we think we are versus who our Lord thinks we are, is where most conflict lies. He has 2 daughters, 3 grandchildren, 2 girls and a boy. He has a master's degree in human behavior, and for the last 11 years, he's been involved with an important ministry. It's called Finding Freedom International. They work with women and girls who have been sexually exploited or trafficked. They train safe houses, how to be safe, and these are not easy things. These are in very difficult places, Mexico, Cambodia. He is a licensed, he's got his master's in human behavior. He's licensed as a drug and alcohol counselor in California by CCAPP. He's board certified professional Christian counselor by the American Association of Christian Counselors, anger management specialist by the Anger Management Institute, certified domestic violence counselor to the 3rd degree by National Institute of Forensic Counselors. His hobbies are skiing, shooting, golf, reading, and family stuff. And the last book that he read is 2 Hours to Freedom by Charles Kraft. That may have been updated since then. He may have read another book. So I don't know. Let me tell you a little bit about the Terry that I know. He came recommended to me when I was in need of, I just needed some counseling. Started veering off into some just difficult, bad choices. I thought they were thrust upon me. Terry made it very evident in our first session that they were my choices. So that removed all of that. And having that removed enabled me to go to a level of conversation with him that was both accountable. I believe that Terry and I share the same spiritual gift of sarcasm. Works out very well for us in our relationship. He has been my go-to guy when I have had particularly men. You know, here's the problem I find with most Christian counseling is that it is just emasculating. And that's not Terry, because guys have some difficult things to face. And it's very easy to just get emasculated in that and lose these guys for Christ. And I have sent some extraordinarily difficult people to Terry, and it's been wonders. And it's because he just continues to hold accountable. He doesn't mince words, but yet he understands what guys are going through, especially guys who are, you know, trying to live the life for Christ, and yet dealing with you know, our we like to call them demons, but they're not, they're choices. And so that's what I really respect about Terry, and why he's my go-to guy. And I've been to him. And so I would also say to you that if you feel like you're facing something and you really don't know who you need to talk to, you need to talk to Terry. So with all of that, let's have Terry now talk to us.
Oh, wow. Hope that didn't broke.
No.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure what to say. I didn't know I did all that. My job, in all honesty, I think my job is to show up and yell at God for a lot of help. And that's been my counseling practice. It's just like God's in charge and I'm not. And the more I do that, the better it seems to work. So that's kind of where I am. I'm very thankful that I'm here tonight or today or whatever time it is.
This morning.
This morning.
There you go.
Because a couple of years ago, I had some heart stuff and I had some stents and some, I got a pacemaker and it's like, and yet I'm still running around and having fun. And I think that's from the grace of God, because he's got a bigger purpose for me than I do at times. But anyway, what I want to talk to you guys about today is connection, communication. Several years ago, I was involved in recovery. And I went to a class because somebody said, you need to go to this class so you can learn how to communicate with people. And in my early recovery, communication was not my skill set. Or at least positive communication was not my skill set. And so I was listening to this lady teach this class, and she was talking about that there's actually different people in the world. And some of them aren't like me. Go figure. And so she's drawing on the board, and she said, there's two kinds of people. Okay. She said there are task-oriented people and there's people-oriented people. And that was like, okay. And she said, the problems that we have are when task-oriented people meet people-oriented people. And it was like, yeah, I think I'd identify with that. And she said, here's what happens. A people-oriented people meets a task-oriented people. And it's like, hi, how are you? What's going on? Would you have for breakfast? What's that? And the task person goes, we have work to do. And the task-oriented person says, what the hell's wrong with this guy? And the people-oriented person says, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Can't he just say hi? And the task person says, we got work to do. And how long did that take before there's already conflict? Now, we also have a God who loves humor. I don't know if you've ever heard about opposites attract. Yeah. The probability factor is that you have some significant people in your life who are not like you. So I'm pretty sure God's got a sense of humor. Yeah. So we have task-oriented people, we have people-oriented people, we have these two factions that have to get along, that have to deal with each other. And then we have fast-moving people and slow-moving people. Now, I'm a fast-moving people. I'm like in constant motion, and I talk fast, and I move fast, and I think fast. And remember I told you God's got a sense of humor? Well, guess who I'm married to? A slow-moving. My current wife, about 42 years. So we're thinking it's going to work out. But what was interesting is, in our early time together, she would say to me, let's go. Now, does anybody here know what let's go means? That's it. It's like, I got to go to the bathroom, check, make sure that, you know, and it's like, and whatever. Oh, I forgot to feed the dog. It's like, it's like, hello. So I'm in the car, honking the horn, saying things that are usually not considered positive. And it's like, she goes, I don't understand why you're so nasty. It's like, what are you talking about? You said, let's go. What does let's go mean? Let's go means let's go. Well, 42 years later, when she said, let's go, I have gone upstairs, taken a shower and changed clothes. I have cooked breakfast. There's all kinds of things. And when she finally heads for the car, I figured out that means, let's go. So why, you know, we can laugh at all this stuff, but I just described 4 different styles, 4 different ways that people go about things. And that was the test you took, or excuse me, that's the wrong word, right? It's not a test.
That's right.
What's it?
An assessment.
An assessment. So the test you took really is to help you kind of identify how you go about your business. And you're going to fit in one of those categories predominantly. You're going to have a secondary one, very usually is what happens, because I am what you call a monkey lion. So I operate on that side of the fence. I'm a people-oriented person because monkeys are people-oriented. But if something has to get done, I'll go do that. I can be a boss, but it's not about being a boss, it's about getting things done for me. And it's like we said, you know, we told people we're going to do something. So we have a commitment to some people. So the people side of me runs me. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm married to a dove. Now, doves are people who love relationships. And they will do almost anything for relationships. Okay, they really deeply care. She has a friend named Martha she's known Martha longer than we've been married. I mean, it's like, and they have been friends for 45 years, I think it is. Well, that's just dumb. Because that's a lot of work. You know, I have some friends that I've had around for a while, but it's because we bump into each other. In comparison, you know what I mean? It's not like she plans stuff. Now, this is kind of fun. She says to Martha, she works with Martha every Wednesday. And what's funny is she tells Martha, I love you. Right? She comes home, and do you know what she does before she goes to bed? Calls Martha. And she says, I love you. So I said, is Martha okay? And she said, what are you talking about? I said, Martha got Alzheimer's or something? I mean, she's got dementia. And she said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, didn't you just spend the day with her? And she said, yeah. And I said, didn't you tell her you loved her when you left? She goes, well, yeah. And I said, well, I'm worried she forgot. And she told her again. Now, that didn't go over so well for her. Because I'm making fun of a relationship. Got it? Okay. Then we have the B clan. And the B clan are part of the task-oriented folks. And task-oriented folks, B's like order. Things need to fit together. B's help design this building because I'm fairly sure it's not going to fall down. So they're interested in doing things right. They make good choices and things so that you have good stuff. Does that make sense? Okay, here's the problem. When do you have enough information?
Never.
Worst thing that ever happened to a bee is the internet. Because it's like, gosh, there's a new, oh my gosh, there's another one. Because wanting to do something right is like somewhere you got to stop and say, okay, I'm going to take a chance. And bees don't like that. I don't want to take a chance. I want to do it right. Okay, so bees are focused on process. Okay, and then you have the lions. And the lions are about results. I do not care who dies. Did you get it done? But you know people like that. We usually call them bosses because they're bossy. Okay, now, in about less than 10 minutes, I just gave you an overview of the world and how people go about their business. And why that's important is because you're one of them. I am a monkey. So if you get around me, monkeys like to have fun. And if you're a monkey, if it ain't fun, you won't do it for a while. It's just like, we'll get to the place and go, not fun. And if you listen to us, we'll say fun a lot. If you listen to a dove, you will hear relationship a lot. If you listen to bees, you will hear do it right a lot. And if you listen to lions, they want to know, did you get it done? Now, why is this important? This is my belief system, and I'm working with people over the last 26, 27 years. People come down to come into my office, they sit down, and I got to figure out who I'm talking to. And so I've learned that there's some very simple things that you can do. And one of the biggest things is to listen to the words they use. If they use words that don't have a lot of emotion in them, probably a task-oriented person. And it doesn't take a whole lot of words to figure out the words they're using. The other side of that is if you hear a lot of emotional words, you're probably talking to a people person. Okay? And you watch how fast they move. You follow me around, keep up. You know, I'm going someplace. You want to go? Go. Great. Awesome. You don't? See ya. My wife is just the opposite. She is slow. Now, here's why this is important. Because you have slow moving and you have fast moving people, that's information that you can utilize. Fast moving people don't mind conflict. Not necessarily gonna pick a fight, but won't back down. Okay, if you're slow moving people, you don't like conflict. You prefer, we don't do this. So they will avoid conflict. You know, people who don't have anything to do with conflict. There's conflict, they all shut down, right? So the interesting thing, back to opposites attract. How many of you have a spouse that's not exactly like you? Weird, huh? Because we have a God who has a reason and purpose. He says, I want you to spend time getting polished. Iron sharpens iron. Okay? And who better to polish you than something's not exactly like you? But that's an interesting thing because it's our job to go polish them. But you do that because you care about them, you love them, they matter to you. And you learn to do that better with less conflict. Does that make sense? Okay, but if I'm doing that, it means I have to know who I'm talking to. And that's the cool part about this. It doesn't take very long. I've gone through all kinds of testing things and all kinds of programs and been evaluated and all this stuff. And this one still, it's simple and it works. And what's interesting is to talk to somebody and say, oh, you're a lion. It's like, what? Yeah, I'm not a lion. Well, I just think you just said yes, you were. Okay. And it's like, you know, I'm a dove. What's a dove mean? I don't know what that means. What's that mean? And you can sit down and start talking to them. It's like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? You're a monkey. That's me. If you want to have fun, hang around because we'll have fun. If you don't want to have fun, don't hang around because I'm going to have fun. Because that's a driving force in me. And here's the thing that makes this so cool. Who designed me? Okay, I want you to consider something. If God designed me, did he make a mistake? Well, I agree with that. Okay, now, did God make a mistake with my wife? Well, that's another question. But if you look at it and say, did God design something that's valuable and good for me? You know, and so if he designed everybody, maybe it's us that needs to figure out how to do it better. Does that make sense? It's up to me to move to you. It's up to me to figure out where you are and move towards you. Because the opposite's what happens to us. You're not like me, so I'm moving out. I'm going to pull away from you. I'm going to have conflict with you because you're not like me. I don't know if you've ever done this, but I have. I look at people and go, mistake. You made a mistake. Not sure what you were thinking, but that one's not okay. And we make judgments about people because you don't agree with them. And yet, if you sat in their chair, would they say the same thing about you? So my belief system says that God did this so that we would understand we need each other. I need the doves in the world. I need the peacemakers. I need the people who help me slow down and listen better. I need the people who say to me, we're going to do this one right. This building will not fall down. Because I don't mind if it falls down. Because I'll learn something and it'll be fun. And we can build it again and we can do stuff. And it's like, wow, this is cool. Well, let's try this. Now, I went shooting on Monday. And I came up with this absolutely brilliant idea for a portable shooting gallery. And I can hang metal on it. I can hang balloons all over it. I can use clay pigeons. I mean, it's like way cool. So I built it, and I'm serious, it was way cool. Now, do you have any idea if there's a conflict between a bullet and PVC? And that was proven to be true.
Only if they collide.
Well, that's what happened. And we're shooting, and I was having the guy that I went with, and we were having a contest, and and so we had to shoot, and I hung too many clay pigeons up, and so they were closer to the uprights. And something happened. I figured it's the wind. And the tee exploded, and it fell down. So I'm not going to do that again. But it was fun. Does that make sense? So I have a wood one, and I've had that wooden one for, I don't know, 2 years, and it's got holes in it and all that stuff, but it's still standing up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the idea is figure out who are you, what matters to you, and understand that God designed you. What makes you connect? What makes you think the way you think? What's God's design? So he didn't make a mistake. Then you can go learn from other people because they don't think like you do. The problem is very often we get angry because they don't think like we do. So, lions. Lions are results driven. They're not terribly thrilled about excuses. It's like, get it done. Now, do we need people like that?
Yes.
Yeah, we do. Because as a monkey, I can get sidetracked. It's like bright, shiny things. It's like, I can get sidetracked, so I need somebody going, get back on task. Do I need somebody in my world who likes process, who likes order, who makes things go the way they are supposed to go? I do, but that's boring. I don't know about you, but I hate standing in line. You know, but you're supposed to. And when somebody says you're supposed to, it's like, and I mean, I don't supposed to well. So when I look at that, but God said, yeah, you need to learn to stand in line. You learn to do things that you don't like to do. You know, do I need to be softer with people? Because I'm good at conflict. You want to do this? Let's do it. And bring your lunch. Because I don't quit. Well, that's not the best way to have relationships. So when I get around the doves, when I go home, my wife and I have not had a fight in so many years because we figured out something. We have discussions. Discussions can get loud, but it allows for difference of opinion. So instead of me having to be right and win, there's times it's like, okay, but why am I having this discussion? Is it to win or is it to do it better? Now, my natural bent, win. But is that what's good for her? No, because she will get even. No, actually, she gets okay. So when you look at this, it's like we're different because that's God's design. We're different because we need each other. We're different because if everybody was the same, not much going to happen. Okay, so we really do, in my opinion, we really do need to understand that the differences is what matters. It's what God designed in us, and Jesus met us all where we were. And it doesn't matter who we are. It doesn't matter where we are. It doesn't matter how we think. He said, "You matter." And I'm going to meet you where you are. And if you're one of those weird people like a dove or a bee or well, lions are pretty cool. You know. But if you're not like me, maybe I can learn something from you. If you're not like me, maybe I can teach you something. But it means I got to move towards you. I got to be open. I got to be vulnerable. I got to be willing to listen because you're God's kid too. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm encouraging you to do is it's like figure out what you are. And if you have any doubt, ask your friends, neighbors, and relatives because they'll tell you. And find out and look at people and spend time and invest in. And by the way, this is everybody. I have traveled literally around the world. And you know what I found out? Cultural differences don't exist. Because when I looked at my Bible, it didn't say, this is God's word except in the following countries. You know, it's just like people are people, and God's design is God's design. And so when I was just in Greece doing a training over there, and it's, you know, in Greece people are weird. They don't speak English. So I'm talking to him, and the good news is a lot of them did speak English. And as I'm talking to him all this stuff, and I did this, and it was like, and people, we have exercises. And one of the exercises is to identify yourself. And we spent a lot more time than we're doing today, but is identify yourself. And then you get a sticker that says, this is who I am. I'm a dove, a bee, or whatever, okay? And then you have to go find the person who's opposite from you, like a dove and a lion. And the lion has to talk like a dove, and a dove has to talk like a lion. And that's funny. And then we have another exercise, and we have a problem, and we give each group the problem, and we say, now go solve the problem. And you have a half an hour. And when we're done, you come back and you tell us how you solved the problem. Well, it takes the lions about 10, 15 minutes, and they got it solved, they think. And the bees are still trying to figure out what the problem is, because they're trying to look at it from every possible angle you can. And the doves are going, well, what if, you know, we got to figure, and what if, so they don't solve the problem, and the monkeys don't care. And so when you bring this together, and you say, okay, so what'd you guys come up with? And the lions just said, you know, kill them. Now, it's like, take care of it. It's not a problem. So we wonder why it doesn't work that well. But every facet of our world, this exists. Now, you talked about the military. It's there. It's in churches. It's at work. It's at home. It's in your kids, your grandkids. It's everywhere. And so if you kind of figure out, this is what I am, I'm one of those kind, and so this is my strengths, and this is my weakness when I look at other people. As a monkey, I don't really care how you feel. I really don't. How you feel is unimportant to me. Now, that sounds cold and calculating to a lot of people. Don't you care how I feel? Well, do you care how I feel? So I have a reputation in the industry. He's a guy who doesn't care how you feel. Well, yeah. But if you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, how many times did Jesus say, I care how you feel? Just in case you want to know, it's not in there. He asks us to do things in spite of how we feel. And that's important, because I don't always feel like I want to be nice to my wife. I don't always feel but what am I supposed to do? Do the things I need to do in spite of how I feel. So it means I need to move towards people who are not like me, because that's how I connect better. And I'm going to tell you flat out, the rest of your day, 3 out of 4 people you see aren't going to be like you. So if you know this stuff, it works gooder. This is my granddaughter. Okay? All right, I think I'm done, right? Okay, cool. Yes, sir.
The answers.
what's the answer? I mean, once you're a certain item on that website, on what you gave me, I didn't understand the answer. I know I came out 20 and 20 on the lion and the monkey.
Okay, then you're probably a lion monkey.
So
Or
what does that
monkey.
mean? I mean,
It means,
it
it
means
means,
a lion with a bee and a monkey with a dove or something like that.
okay.
But I didn't understand what I was really supposed to do with the answer.
Okay, here's what you want to do. As a lion monkey, you're what we call a fast-moving person. And fast-moving people tend to get things done, but they also tend to annoy people because you're not really nice. Now, I have a whole scenario on nice and kind and that kind of stuff, but remember that you represent 25% of the rest of the folks out there. You know, if you say you're a monkey lion, then 50% of the people you bump into don't understand you. So what you need to do, if the more I know I'm a monkey, then when I get around a bee, my words change. I slow down. I don't talk so fast because that makes them feel connected. Because remember, 3 out of 4 people, and it's no joke, you start looking around, 3 out of 4 people you bump into in a day, in a week, in a month, they're different. And it increases your ability to make things happen.
Well, then you're saying that you care how they feel.
No,
No, it's happening.
I care how you see the world. I care about how you go about your business.
But you're caring how they interact and how they are
Yes.
impressed by you.
But if you tell me, you know, I got bad hangnails, it's like, I don't care. If you tell me, you know, you had a fight with your wife, it's like, okay, why?
The success of finishing the task.
Yeah, it's a means to finishing the task because you know successfully if you did that change, that's going to get you. I had that in my work is that a gal would be, I consider the turtle. She would use,
Yeah, there you go.
confront her. My dad is like that. You confront him, he doesn't want any conflict. He pulls back, you don't do anything at all. You have to be calm, you have to be easy, and life goes a lot better. But if you don't do that, you're in trouble because
yeah. Now I want to say something really super important because that's kind of what you guys are wandering around in. It doesn't change me. It doesn't change me to be more like you. Because all I'm doing is changing the words that I use that make more sense to you. Because I can be super emotional. And one of my buddies is a stone cold bee. And so if I'm in a bad mood, I just go get real emotional all over him. And it freaks him out. Now, is that a nice thing to do?
No.
But it's fun. But it doesn't help. Does that make sense? So my job is to move over towards him and be less emotional in the words that I choose. Now, does that change the fact I have emotions? That I care about things, that I'm excited, that all that other stuff. Doesn't change a thing. Does that make sense to you?
You're just talking about communication.
That's it. It's how I connect with you. So I don't change me, and that's the blessing that God gave me. Jesus did not change, and yet he met people in very different ways. And that's the message that I got out of this. It's like, yes.
Well, it's not the same thing when you talk about the relationships. When God created man and woman, the same thing. He basically said it wasn't good for man to be by himself. So he obviously understood difference. He had to have difference. So he created a woman as a difference.
Yeah, well, see, that's one of the things I want to talk to him about. It's like, why didn't you make her more like me? And I know that the answer is, he goes, dude, because you need a lot of work, you know. And we marry because we like what's there. And then we try to change it. Well, that's dumb. You know, the more I move towards you, the better we're going to be. Jay and I are not the same people. We don't see the world the same way. But I've learned something, and I'm not sure exactly how I did it other than I prayed like crazy and asked God for wisdom and grace and all kinds of things. But he knows I care about him. And because he knows that I care about him, I can say things to him that a lot of people couldn't say because he doesn't feel safe with him. Does that make sense? So part of this reasoning that is to be able to move towards you so that you're okay with me and that I'm okay with you. Because I do care about you. So I care about you, but I don't care about how you feel. Because if I care about how you feel, will I tell you the truth? Or will I code it? Will I fluff it? Will I do something other than the truth with it? In the industry that I work in, it happens more than I like. So, all right. Thank you.